The first chapter, general physics, all covered here. The first chapter is measurements. And let's go for the first column, measuring length. When I come to discuss measuring length, the first thing that comes to my mind, rulers, measuring tapes, micrometers, vernier calipers. When I use a ruler, see the picture on the beginning, a ruler has to be used. And when I use the ruler, it has to be used for short lenses. It can be a diameter, it can be length, it can be height, it can be sometimes depth. Whenever you're using a ruler, your ruler is for short and straight distances or lenses. Take care always that you have a parallax error that you need to avoid. Eyesight perpendicular to measurement, or I say eyesight perpendicular to ruler to avoid parallax error. Very, very important, this part. And any question in paper 6, when we are using a ruler, that's the number one precaution that we need to write if they are asking for precautions. Measuring tape is also used, and the measuring tape will be used for long or round objects. And again, even when you're using a measuring tape, or sometimes we call it tape measure, you still have to avoid parallax error the same way. The drawing on the left side here, that's to measure the circumference of a pen or a straw. Using a string, make sure that you wrap it several turns, then you measure its length, dividing by the number of wraps. Make sure that all wraps should be parallel to each other, touching each other, and at the same time, they are not neither spaced away nor spaced away, nor overlapping. Because if they were overlapping, this would result in, if they were overlapping, it will be shorter. If they are spaced away, it will be longer. Both are not accepted. So all turns are parallel to each other. Same thing with the material of the string itself. It has to be not stretchy, because the more it stretches, the different each turn length would be, which is not accurate, of course. The drawing after that, and this setup is widely asked on in paper 6 especially. If you are measuring the diameter of a ball using a ruler, you need those blocks of wood so the ball does not move around, and you put your ruler under the blocks of wood to measure the diameter of the ball. That's it for the measuring length. Let's go on for measuring volume. When I come to discuss measuring volume, if you remember, we said, if it's a solid, then I have either a regular solid or an irregular solid. What is a regular solid? Yeah, exactly. Cube, cuboid, sphere, cylinder, pyramid, cone, the regular shapes. And in that case, all what I need is a ruler, because all what I need to do is to measure dimensions. And then these dimensions, I apply them into a correct equation. For example, the volume of a rectangular solid is length, width, and height multiplied by each other. So when you have a ruler, you measure the 3 dimensions, and then you multiply them and find the volume. If the solid was irregular, what do I do? Solid irregular means I need to use a displacement method, exactly like the one in the picture here. Remember, adding water to a measuring cylinder, recording its volume V1, then adding the object slowly, using a thread to avoid splashing, recording its new volume V2, and then subtract V2 minus V1 for the volume of the object. And if the object cannot fit into the measuring cylinder, then you can use a displacement cam. It fits all objects, okay? Remember the 2 precautions of the measuring cylinder. Number 1, yes, exactly, read at eye level. Number 2, reading at eye level to avoid parallax error. So your eyesight is perpendicular to the measuring cylinder itself. And number 2, reading from the bottom of meniscus. Because water always will have a curve like that, I read from the bottom of meniscus. Okay, this is very important. If I'm reading the volume of a liquid, then just add the liquid to the measuring cylinder, directly record the volume, and don't forget measuring cylinders, the volumes are measured in centimeter cube. Next, measuring mass or weight. We know that weight equal mass multiplied by G. G stands for gravitational field constant or gravitational acceleration. which has a value of 9.8, and it's rounded to 10 meters per second squared for exams in 2022. Remember, for exams in 2023, it has to be placed as 9.8. What is mass? Mass is the amount of matter, the quantity of matter in an object at rest relative to an observer. And the weight is the force of gravity acting on this mass. Of course, mass scalar, weight is vector, mass is measured in kilograms, and weight is measured in newtons. Mass is constant everywhere. Here on the moon, your mass doesn't change, but the weight varies according to the gravity of each planet. Either you're using a stopwatch when it's a long period of time, or automatic timers, sometimes called electronic timers, or light gates, so that's for very short periods of time. Why? To avoid the human reaction time error. So if the time is really short, we want to get rid of the human reaction time, we go for the automated ways. And last, measuring density. You know that density is mass divided by volume. How can I define density? I can divide it by saying mass divided by volume or mass per unit volume. Whatever. Units are either kilogram per meter cube or gram per centimeter cube, depending on the question.